taking a little break walking the baby because I had car trouble this morning. I gotta change my tire. So that's a whole nother deal. What's up? I gotta deal with. So my alignment, I guess, was off, and one part of the tire was like 70, 80% of the tire is like perfect tread, and then on the inner part, on the inner side of the tire, it's all like steel coming out of it, like it's all worn. So it's like losing air, and there's metal popping out. So I need to put a new tire on. I have a spare in the back that I'm gonna put on. I did make it back to my mother-in-law's house at least, so I'm not stuck in the road. But so that's what I'm working on. I was gonna actually go check out Frank Castle today and hang out with him and make some music, but I gotta wait because my tire can't make it to the Bronx. Definitely not. I don't even think it can make it down the road without me changing it. So I got to get my inspection done and brakes done in the next few days. So lovely. Let me see what's going on in the chat room, because I have a very interesting information to share, and like always, and I've been talking about the Grigori for as long as I've been in the public, talking about these spiritual wars. And let me remind you, the only reason why I came into the public originally, and it wasn't to make money or anything like this, because maybe if you guys are new to who I am and you haven't known me for the last few years, I originally was doing readings, doing everything, living a regular job life for many years, and I was doing readings for free on the side for my friends or family, or close ones that I knew. And I knew there would be a time in the future where my abilities would have to be used on a different level, and all of ours would have to be used to do something really hard. And I always knew this. I knew there was going to be a time where ancients would return. It's talked about even in family lines, and all Strega family lines, where there would be an age of the sun, and then the age of the daughter will rise. And it's a matter of what's in the consciousness of humanity when this new age arises. So I originally came in the public because of the spiritual wars, to let everybody know that it's not just our physical world that we're living in. We're living in a spiritual realm as well, and the reason why there's war on our planet constantly is because of the spiritual wars taking place between light and dark, between duality. And that's the only reason why let me first talk about, I was doing readings for free for many years. And then before I was even on Truth Frequency Radio, I did a radio. I first came public doing some interviews. People were interviewing me about my family history, occult topics, and my experiences. Some of the, if you want to say, paranormal or spiritual experiences I've had. Some of the spiritual awakenings I've had. It's been talked about in certain circles, and people had called me for interviews from time to time. And I wasn't really in the public per se, but I had done a few public interviews. And then it came where I met some people. I was interviewed on a radio station, and that one thing led to another. And the Para X Radio Network, which is a paranormal radio station, had asked me to do they asked me to try out to do a radio show on their network. And this was a few years back. And I had never hosted a radio show before or anything like that. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a try, whatever. So I did it, and I was like a natural at it. So they asked me to do a radio show on their network, which I did for about 2 years. And this radio show, I didn't get paid for it at all. It actually costed me about $30-40 a month, because I was paying for a producer to help me with the show, get on the network and all that stuff. So I actually was doing a radio show completely costing me money every month for about 2 years before I even came to Truth Frequency Radio. And I was doing it because I had a mission, because I wanted to educate the public about the spiritual wars, or just to make them aware, if you don't want to say educate, make them aware of the spiritual activity that's swirling around us at all times. And the fact that we have a multi-layered universe is usually beyond the grasp of everybody, 95% of our world, you know? It's just that they don't even think about that there's other layers to who we are. Well, we are out of whack. And most of society that dives into spiritual work end up going towards the dark side, end up wanting to use this spiritual work so they can be rich, you know, so they can have more powers, be able to manipulate the elements for what they want. And that's how the disembodied dark ones become even more aware of who you are, and they follow you around. They affect your decision making. And I knew after my near-death experience, it awakened what I believe to be thousands and thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years of ancestral memory that came flooded over me. And we have access to all of this. And I understood after my near-death experience at around 10 years old, 10 years old, I understood afterwards. I came out with a knowing that if I took certain postures, put my hands in certain positions, if I looked to the north or to the south or to the east and to the west, and I put my hands in certain postures, or if I looked in the mirror and I stood in certain poses and I did something, I can activate ancients within my psyche. And this was horrifying to me at first. Scary, very scary. And of course, as a child going into middle school, I wanted to test this. And we call these beings the Grigori. Now, you can call them archangels if you're in Kabbalah. You could call them, watchers or seraphim or fallen angels or Grigori, or, there's all sorts of hierarchies apparently as well. But, regardless of what you call beings, regardless if they were created artificially or if they're part of us or whatever, they exist. But they do not exist in physical form. They exist spiritually. And there's been times in our history where they used spiritual technology to push themselves into matter on our realm for a designed purpose, for a designed reason. And these beings are what guard all Stargate activity on our planet. They guard all magic. If you draw a magic circle, they're lurking in the background. They're watching, they're keeping tabs on everything you do. And depending on what's in your consciousness, whatever vibrations you're sending out, whatever intentions, you get polarized towards the good and the bad of these entities. And as a child, I tested this. I took certain postures in my room, and like I said, I didn't have books or anything at that time. There's some things that were passed down within family lines, and certain things that, I've heard stories, but no one ever talked to me at that age about sorry. So I'm back. So nobody ever talked to me about taking postures and summoning things and all this. Wow. Well, it's interesting because last night, I was dreaming, and then I woke up, and I swear I could see it when I was walking, sort of like Donnie Darko, where I saw these little plasmic long lines of things in the air, like sort of like trails, but they were like plasmic stretches of light beams. And you know, I've had certain dreams, certain astral travels where I was outside of Brookhaven Labs sometimes, and I woke up and I saw like there was like beams of light coming out of my hands. There was like plasmic streams of energy in the air flying around, and they make little noises like ooh, 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 shit like that. Right, Tana? Tana, say uh-oh. Uh-oh. She don't want to talk right now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, baby. So, I knew there was, at that age, like I came out of my near-death experience, literally having a knowing. Knowing that if I stood in the mirror, or if I stood at certain points, like north, south, east, west, and I stood in certain postures, and if I put my hands in certain positions, that these beings of light, or whatever you want to call them, they look like, sometimes they come within your psyche and they're hooded, but there's nothing but light coming out of them. You know, they, like I said, people from Strega bloodlines or Benedante bloodlines or Italian mystics, they tend to call these beings the Grigori. So same with the Greek. But they're called all different things. But if you stand in certain poses and take certain postures, and you do any sort of magical ritual, or if you have to activate any sort of Stargate, they are watching. You have to interface with these beings to open gateways. So if you've done any sort of magic, even if you've prayed, you're generating spiritual energy, and they are watching. They are the watchers. This is what they do. They are attracted to spiritual residue, spiritual energy. They get drawn to it. It's like a magnet. And the you know, whatever you're polarizing, whatever you get polarized to, the light or the dark, is what you're going to activate within them and within your consciousness and within your psyche. And it's a snowball effect. It just grows and grows and grows. So if you're generating the really powerful joy, it will amplify that. Now, I knew at that age, it was just a knowing that I was able to do this. And as a teenager, not even a teenager, as 11, 12 years old, 13 years old, right when I was becoming a teenager, I messed with this, you know. And there's not a coincidence that the 10 years after that, I had problems, drug problems, problems with my family, you know, just intense spiritual problems for many, many years. And it took me having to go to a shaman in South America, not watch TV, not have sex, not do any drugs for months, do an ayahuasca ritual. Then I went to a Muay Thai camp, 30 days. I fought in Muay Thai. I had to do a cleansing like never before, just to be normal, just to get a night's sleep. And you know, my body now, all the way since then, has gotten filled with more corruptions, not with drugs, but you know, sugar and bad intentions and bad vibes and fights with my family and loved ones and this and that. You get clouded with so much bad stuff. You know, you generate so much bad energy over the years. We all do. That's why you have to do some sort of grounding. Always do some sort of grounding. And otherwise it'll inflame your organs. It'll get literally turn into physical manifestations. Literally, it'll turn into physical illnesses. Now, I generated bad forces around me because when I, you know, and it never leaves you, you know. So once your head is open to this, it's hard to not be exposed to it anymore. It's hard to not have these forces follow you because you're a target and you have little feelers, little spiritual fingerprints that leave a trail, if you want to say, in the spiritual realms for these beings, and you're an easy target after that. And it's very easy. Once you're weakened, once your force field is down, it's free game. Now, I learned my lesson never to ask these things for favors. Never to try to get a job this way or get money this way or anything like that. And that's what people tend to want to do. They want to activate these beings within your psyche, or these thought forms, if you want to say that appear. Because there's a difference between generating a tulpa, between your spirit, from your spiritual energy, and a whole different race of beings. And now I feel that these beings were designed. You want to call them Grigori or whatever. They were sent here very long ago with a mission. They came here with a purpose. They pushed themselves into matter with a certain technology. And this is going to happen again. It's happening now. And like I said, there's some out there that can help us in this battle, and some that can hurt us. Now, I knew there was going to have to become a time where I was going to call on these beings once again. Not for a favor, but so I could stand side by side with them to fight. And maybe that's, what's going on now. Maybe that's who we need to activate with these sacred sites. We need to use the spiritual technology to align the duality on our planet that's out of whack. And I truly feel if we all sit here and we're all ignorant to what's taking place, we're just going to watch it all crash and burn. And unfortunately, society, the military, everything has made it so hard for us to all get together at certain sites. So we have to do this independently. It's a scary thing, what's taking place on our planet, but having fear is healthy in some ways, but not spiritual fear. Of course, you're supposed to fear walking into the fire because you'll burn. It's healthy fears, but you have to be fearless in ways when it comes to spiritual activity. You have to stand up for what you believe in, is what I mean. You should fear the dark. You should fear what would manifest if you use the dark. There's a reason why between dark energy and dark matter, that consists of 95% of our universe, and only 5% that's light. 5% that we know what's going on, or we could see. Doesn't that scare you guys a little bit? Doesn't that frighten you just a little bit? That we don't know anything about our universe? Why have we been shut off to the knowledge? Doesn't that frighten you just a little bit? It should. It should. And that's why no one out there who's claiming they know what's totally taking place in this universe, you should trust. Because they don't. They don't know shit. All we can do is talk about what we've experienced and what we've learned. And I'm pretty sure there's break-off civilizations in many other realms. And we've been pretty much put into a cursed realm of duality until we figure this out. The ancient sites on our planet are here for a reason. And maybe a collapse of government is what we need. So there's no more military stopping us from our true goal to complete Eden, to complete this physical realm. Atlantis tried. They fell. And they didn't fall in one night. From what comes to me about it, what Plato talked about was the last colony of Atlantis. The last colony of it all. The far end of it. I think they were working with a spiritual technology. They were part of who Adam was. The perfect man that got corrupted. Yeah, so I gotta change my tire now today and work on that. It's really hard to think about like how we have to live these two different sides. We understand there's the spiritual side, but then we have to deal with all this physical life, you know, all this distractions, you know, we get put in our way, all these physical problems that emerge. The life we're living is not meant for us. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. And dream time, your spirit is the key. Unfortunately, I do feel, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom, that the population in our world is going to have to be decimated in many ways for us to continue as a species. But I do feel when certain things are activated and when we reach a certain collective consciousness, it will click. It will all just start to click, and we can change really rapidly, very fast. We have a collective consciousness on our planet, that I know. So what's going on in the chat? Oh yeah, we guys, you don't understand the power of manifestation that we do have. And all it takes is like for one good thing to manifest, and then you start feeling good. You know, even if it's just like a good text message or something, you see how it hits you? Like you'll get a little boost of energy. You know why? Because these phones, cell phones, text messaging, all of this is a replication of spiritual technology. I've been talking to you guys about this. That's why my comic book that I'm making with Hawk and my brother Lin Wei Chang, we're gonna be blowing minds because we're talking about real spiritual technology in it. Real spiritual technology, and how the technology that we're interfacing with right now is a replication of spiritual technology. When you send a text message instantly to somebody across the world, this is a replication of telepathic communications. This is a replication of instantly talking to somebody. It's an artificial replicator. And that's what we're interacting with. I've been talking about this, how our spiritual residue was replicated. You should be able to send a telepathic letter to somebody where just you can write it in your mind, write it on spiritually, you're writing it, put it in your pocket, and then it'll appear in your buddy's pocket or in your buddy's consciousness, if you want to say, instantly. That's what we have. We have telepathic communications. Our technology that we're interfacing with is a replicator of that. You know, and I know it's mind-blowing when you hear it. It's a mind-blowing thing when you first realize it. We're just thinking, oh, it's cool technology. Nah, it's a replication of our spiritual technology. It's a replication of our glow, of our auric energy. And I do believe that one of my main mission is to awaken people to this. Awaken people to see that the reason why we're compatible with it, the reason why it hits your brain like a drug, It hits your dopamines when you get a good text message, when you get a bet, when people like your shit. It's like you got a hit of adrenaline, right? It's like a drug. That's because we're spiritually compatible with it, because it's tricked our system that it was true soul technology. It was true spiritual technology. We've been duped. We've been duped with the harmful, a harmful rendition of what we're supposed to be in. It hits your body like a cancer, like a virus. Our regular spiritual technology, it enhances, says Timberland on it and everything, but then you put it on and it feels like it could be Tim's, but it just don't feel right. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, the Timberland sign is worn off. You got blisters on your feet. Shit starts reacting, and you're like, damn, these tricked me. These were Tim's, but they're not. They ain't the real deal. We ain't got the real deal Holyfield. We're interacting with it in a completely negative way. And this is the same thing with CERN. CERN is a negative, dirty version of true colliders, true particle accelerators. And I believe certain sites like Avery, certain sites like Megiddo, Stonehenge, ancient sites like Giza, ancient sites like the Mayan pyramids, these were original technologies that are true spiritual technologies, not replicated versions. They're made with elements, natural elements from our planet, rocks and things like this, stones, encoded with spiritual energy, not a replicated version. So if you guys notice, most of my videos, after I make them, they go unlisted because they're only available for my patrons. I make spiritual weapons. I have spiritual tools that can heal, that can fight negative vibes, and you can find them at themysticalspiral.com. All of my crystals, tensor tools, my readings, everything else are spiritual tools, spiritual weapons to help you in this spiritual war. And I'm doing this full time now. I've taken the risk. So trust in me and take the risk on me. I can't work in a warehouse and waste my abilities anymore. You know, there's a spiritual war on our planet, and we are in the final battle. It's very intense, very important that we have people like me and you right there. Yes, you. Get up off your seat and get a spiritual weapon. Hit that like button and subscribe. And join me, patreon.com/themysticalspiral. For the slice of a pizza, even for $2 a month, you can join my site, my family of mystics looking for the truth, searching for the truth. That's patreon.com/themysticalspiral. Even you could subscribe for even $1, $2, anything to support. If I had 2,000 subscribers, like I have 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, we can have a whole setup, a whole system for us to chat every day and do this in a real nice way, in a studio, everything like this. We have to get some sort of setup where we can really interface with each other and interact in the right way. So I can share information so you guys can go off of this technology and do it on your own somewhere, and really start working from your heart so you can interact with the spiritual realms and open the spiritual forces around you. Because we all have to do this collectively on our own. It's a battle. No one can do it for you. We can do it collectively, independently, together. Collectively, independently, together. And there will become a time when we all have to get together and unite. But the time is not yet right now. But it is time now for us all to start working from your heart. Spiral out.